Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So on behalf of the Vaishnava community here at Bhaktivedanta Manor, we'd very warmly like to welcome two great personalities, His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj and His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj this evening. And we'll have 3 Hari Bols to welcome them here.
Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Maharaj will be speaking this evening, continuing as well. And our request is the screen on next door as well. So there's this is being
This is the sound for the screen.
connected next door in the reception. We're going to put the volume up in a minute as well. So you can please take your seat in the reception as well, and then after 9 o'clock we'll have kirtan as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In reciprocation to the very kind welcome that you gave me, I would like to welcome you to Sri Radha Gokulananda's Sunday festival. With your permission, I'd like to share a small story with you and some realization that came with the experience. Do I have your permission? Thank you. A few weeks ago, I was staying at the house of one of my very, very dear godbrothers. His name is Vaisheshika Prabhu. Very beloved disciple of Srila Prabhupada and one of the icons in book distribution in the history of our movement. His style of book distribution was unbelievable. He was all attractive. He's a very large person. He would run toward a person, head on, with an enormous, blissful smile and eyes twinkling with bliss. And then he'd stop in such a way, right before he'd get to him, that he'd slide right up to him. He'd slide with it. He had special shoes, I guess, that he would just slide with his hand out to shake theirs. And he'd say, "Welcome." And they were like, "Oh, I'm welcome." Just be looking at him like they never met anybody who had such love in their face. And then he would just hand them a book, said, "I want to show you this." And he'd open it up, he'd show them a picture from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, and just straight on, he would start telling them what it meant. "You see this picture? It means like this. It's a chariot, and you're in the three modes of material nature, and see how you're being pulled." And this is really a good book. It's about enlightenment and loving God, and give this much donation. And they would just be, "Thank you very much." If every book distributor was like Vaisheshika Prabhu, or he just had such a positive, attractive impression on people, the world would be a different place than it is today. Because he was meditating on showing compassion to the people's hearts on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. He was really just meditating and praying on being an instrument of Krishna's mercy, which was coming through Srila Prabhupada to these people. And that meditation empowered him to reach them. So we did many wonderful things together. But in between various programs, we were having kirtans and lectures. We took a japa walk in one of the redwood forests of the northern part of California, north of San Francisco. It was a forest that he was going to take me. And just when we arrived in the parking lot, we got a call from Shamsundar Prabhu, who was in Chicago. And one thing about Shamsundar Prabhu, he loves big trees. One time when I was with him in Oregon, he took me to this wilderness, literally. It's a national wilderness where there were these huge trees. And he was just so proud to show me these big trees. Sequoia trees. redwood trees. They're the biggest trees on the planet. Prabhupada talks about it. So we were in this Muir National Park, and Shamsundar Prabhu calls, and I said, "You'll be very happy to know we are in a redwood forest." And we told him the name of it. And he said, "That's the place we took Srila Prabhupada for morning walks." So that brought a whole new dimension. Now we're in a place of pilgrimage. The same redwood trees that Prabhupada was looking at, and the same ground that his holy feet were walking upon. So we were looking at these gigantic redwood trees, thousands of years old, going way, way, way high and very wide. They're the biggest trees in the world. Now I'm going to rewind a little to another story before getting back to this story. But please remind me to get back to this story. Because I may get so much involved in the other story that things happen like that. A week before that, or about a week, 2 weeks actually, I went on a bus with the Guru Coolies to the Sequoia National Park, a place called Kings Canyon, where the biggest trees on earth are growing. How many of you have been to Kings Canyon in Sequoia National Park? Yes. Well, it's one thing to go there, and it's another experience to go there with 2 full busloads of Guru Coolies. It was a wonderful adventure. And we came to one particular tree. The 3rd largest tree on earth. It's called the General Grant tree. Do you know who General Grant was? He was a general in the Civil War of America. Now, I can go into many details about General Grant, but it's not important, actually. But this tree, there was a placard in front of it telling the capacity of the size of the tree. It has the widest base of any tree on earth. It's between 1,700 and 2,000 years old. The bark of the tree is about 1 meter thick, all the way around it. Was it a meter or a foot? It was a foot. I'm not good with mathematics. The bark of the tree was 1 foot thick. It's like this, all the way around it. If you hollowed out the General Grant tree, you could fill it with 170,000 basketballs. Do you play basketball in the UK? Basketballs are about this big. Yes? If you're not into basketball, I don't remember the exact number, but you could fill it with over 3 million ping pong balls. Table tennis balls. If you're not into ping pong, but you like to just drive around, you could fill it with gasoline, petrol, and put it on your tank of your car. And you could drive around the world, I believe it was 3.2 times, and never have to stop for gas. It's a big tree. Very big tree. see the General Grand Tree? There's huge black gashes into it. And those gashes are due to the tree standing in the midst of blazing forest fires. Now, in the past 2,000 years, many forest fires. Can you imagine standing when all around you are blazing fires that may go on for weeks or even a month? Lord Chaitanya says, Taror ibasi Vishnuna. We should be more tolerant than a tree. I got a realization of what that means more than ever before upon looking at the General Grand Tree. Stood through millenniums of probably dozens, if not hundreds, of forest fires. And kept growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Now I'm going to get back to explain to you how important forest fires are for the sequoia trees and how important they are in our lives. But before I get to that point, I'm going to tell about the biggest tree on earth, which we went with the Gurukulis. It's called the General Sherman tree. And there was an explanation of the nature of the tree. It said, if an ant looks up to a man that is 6 foot tall, he'll see the same difference as if a man 6 foot tall looks up to the General Sherman tree. Hare Krishna. I was looking up. And I'm only 5'6". So I realized next to this tree, I am less than an ant. Now, relatively, can you imagine what ants' lives are like? I was looking up at that tree, and for ants, it's like whole civilizations of General Sherman trees walking around. It's very, very difficult life, an ant. You may not remember. That tree is about 2,700 years old. I asked the Gurukulis, wonderful, wonderful young people who just have such natural love for Krishna and for Kirtan. And I asked them, if this General Sherman tree could speak to human society today, after standing there for 2,007 years, that means this tree saw the rise and fall was standing there during the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, part of the Greek Empire, was there for all the different world wars and civil wars. 2,007 years of history, human history. What would be the message that this tree would give human society? And one girl said, if I was that tree, I would tell human society that you should seriously chant Hare Krishna, otherwise you may end up a tree like me. And another said, I would tell human society that why are you people so attached to all these superficial, insignificant, unimportant things? And you fight about it all the time because of your egos. What's important in life? What's important in life is who we are. We are the soul. What is our relationship with God? You human beings just live for just 70, 80, 90 years. Look at me, I'm 2,700 years old. You have such short little tiny lives, like ants compared to me. And what do you do with your lives? You just fight about things that aren't even yours. Things that are so insignificant and superficial, and you're going to lose them in just a matter of days, and you're just always in animosity. So many world wars, so much envy, so much divorce, so much anxiety. Why not fix your mind on what is important in life? And then we ended our session where we all gathered around the General Sherman tree, 2,007-year-old tree, and we had kirtan to deliver the soul of that tree. And we happened to walk by these two gigantic sequoia trees that were connected to each other. And I asked some of these wonderful young devotees, I said, what is your opinion of why these trees, what is the karma of these two trees who are for thousands of years like growing into each other? And one of them said, in their past life, they were a husband and wife who always caused anxiety to their partner. Because the wife caused so much anxiety to the husband, and the husband caused so much anxiety to the wife, now they have to live thousands of years and they can't separate. They're just causing anxiety to each other. So I think that's an important realization. That you shouldn't cause anxieties to each other because you don't know what the karmic reaction may be. Brahmacharis also may. So now we're back into the redwood forest that Prabhupada walked with Vaisheshika Prabhu. And these massive, massive redwood trees. And we saw a beautiful lesson that was written there that described the importance of forest fires. Without forest fires, none of that would exist. First of all, you were there, yes? Your sister. Is she here? Oh, she can tell the stories better than you. The forest fire, it explains that the seed of a redwood tree is within a hard, wood-like cone. And it is only the heat of a forest fire that releases the seed from that redwood cone and then falls to the ground. Otherwise, the seed cannot sprout or grow because it's just stuck in that wooden cone. So without fires, there's no seeds of redwood trees. But when that seed comes out of the cone, it needs clear ground. And generally the ground in a forest has all kinds of shrubs. The forest fire burns away all the shrubs, releases the seed, and it also, what falls from the forest fire, all the carbon and everything else, puts nutrients into the soil that are absolutely necessary for that seed to grow. And then when it starts growing, what happens is it needs abundant sun. But because there's so many other trees in the forest, it can't get any sun. It's the forest fires that remove all the less serious trees so that the more serious redwood trees get the sunshine that they need. All that it needs, the sunshine, releasing it from its cage, the nutrients, and the space to grow are all due to forest fires. And they found out in certain redwood forests where the rangers were very diligent to put out all fires, 50 years since they were being diligent, not a single new redwood tree was growing. Now, forest fires happen naturally. But because they stopped them, they actually had to start fires. Otherwise, it wasn't happening. And when you see General Grant and the other big ones, you see big black scars due to standing in forest fires. But while that's happening, the nutrients in the soil and everything is actually helping them, due to the forest fire, to be stronger and grow larger, 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 and last longer. Samsara davanalita loka. That this material existence, Prabhupada says, is like a blazing forest fire. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's beautiful bhajan. Now, for a devotee, the blazing fire of material existence is very much necessary for us to spiritually grow. Otherwise, why would God create it that way? The seed of bhakti is in all of our hearts. Yes? The heavenly planets, where things are so nice, very few people become serious about devotional service. They remain very lax. Because of the miseries of material existence. Because we see such a meaningless situation of so much suffering. That's the main impetus why people turn to God. Srila Prabhupada, in his books, he talks so much about the miseries of material existence. It's the reality. Whether you like it or not, birth, old age, disease, and death is inescapable on the material platform. We may be young and enjoying and say, why talk about miseries? But look at your grandfather or grandmother. At the best, if you live that long, that's going to happen to you. It is a reality. So yes, while we're in this material world, due to our own free will, it is the blazing fire of material existence that very much is an incentive for us to approach a spiritual master for higher meaning, higher purpose in life. And the seed of bhakti comes out of that shell. Yes? How many of you have come to Krishna consciousness because life was so blissful? How many of you came because what you've been through in life and what you saw in life, and what you heard about in life, you were deeply looking for a higher meaning, a higher purpose? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, if you approach a guru while trying to enjoy this material world, it's practically useless. There's very little benefit. But if you approach a guru with an urgent feeling of need, that you need something beyond the imminent sufferings of this world, then the seed of bhakti. There's the blessing of guru, and the burning forest fire of material existence is released within your heart. And also we need the sunshine of God's grace. Yes? The fire of material existence actually clears so many of the anarthas from our mind and our heart. Because they cause us to take, because they inspire us to take shelter of a higher principle. I'll give an example. It's a sunny afternoon in the summer of London. And you're in Hyde Park with your best friends. And you're drinking nice nectar drink. And everything's real nice. And you're chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Yes, you're chanting, it's nice. But then all of a sudden, this mad dog with foaming mouth just runs to attack you. Yes? And there's nowhere to go. What do? You're not going, Hare Krishna. You're going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yes? I remember one of my godbrothers, he stopped chanting his rounds until one day he was chanting, well, he just like sometimes. But then his car slipped on ice, fell off a huge mountain, and was rolling through the forest of a mountain. The car was rolling. And he was chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then he realized it was like the seed kind of came out of the cone of his complacency. So yes, just like the tree, the forest fire clears away the unnecessary trees to give light to the real seed, to the creeper. In the same way, the unnecessary trees of our lethargy, of our unnecessary attachments, when there's serious crisis in our life, we really turn to God, we really turn to the holy name. So yes, the trials and the tribulations of life are all there to help us to grow. Whether you want trials to come or not, they will come. If you want them to come the way you personally design them, Krishna, if you have to make me suffer, then make it like this, and this. Then it won't be effective. Material nature will get you just the way you don't want it to get you. That is the law of nature. It's just a matter of time. Now, a devotee sees the opportunity in that situation for the seed of bhakti to grow by turning to God more seriously, more urgently. Maharaj Parikshit wasn't just going to a Bhagavad Saptaha during his holiday. He was going to die in 7 days. He was hearing the Bhagavatam seriously. That is how we must chant the holy name. That is how we must approach the deity, to take shelter. The greater the resistance, the greater the opportunity to become strong. So the largest living beings on earth and the oldest living beings on earth are those who went through the fires of material existence and who remain steady through the fires of material existence. And I believe this is a great lesson to humanity, a great lesson to all of us. We cannot manipulate material nature to be what we want it to be. But we can adjust ourselves under all circumstances to come closer to God and Krishna through all these situations. And they are welcome. Viparashantu tashashvatatra tatra jagadguru. Kunti Devi prayed for calamities. Because in those situations, you're not complacent. There's an urgent need to turn to God. And to the degree we turn to God, we experience Krishna. I may have told the story before, but a couple of years ago, I was flying to Bombay from London on British Airways. Did I tell the story?
No.
Does anyone here work for British Airways? Well, we're in the air somewhere 30,000 feet up or whatever. Suddenly, this crazy alarm goes off in the plane. And then the pilot, you could tell the man is in total anxiety and fear, but he's trying to sound cool. He said, "Emergency announcement, please listen carefully. This is a matter of life or death. Listen carefully. We are going to have an emergency landing." And then he didn't explain why. But he said, an emergency landing means in about 45 minutes, we're going to have to hit the ground, not land in the ground. We're going to fall in the ground. And then we have to stop the plane immediately. Otherwise, he didn't say it. He said, otherwise we're all going to die. But he didn't say it, but everybody could hear it. So he said, you have to put your head between your legs. And, they told you what you to do with your children. You have to put your head between your legs, and you're just going to be thrown all over the place. And then they wanted big people to go near the exit doors. So I was with one devotee from London, Nikunj. Yes? And he was sitting next to me, and he said, Maharaj, you know, I have to go. If I have to go, at least I'm with you. And then the airline hostess says, you're a big man, you come to the exit door. So they pulled him away. Every 5 minutes they made this announcement. Emergency announcement. Please listen carefully. For about almost an hour, every 5 minutes they made this announcement, preparing us for this emergency landing. And people were really in anxiety. And they said, if you have any, and then the airline hostesses were coming up to every person saying, do you have any questions? Do you know what to do? You know exactly what to do. This is very important. Do you have any? And, you know, people were like, oh, what's happening? What's happening? And they're trying to look like they're really normal. The airline hostesses. They were really trying to look like everything is normal. It's all right. It's just an emergency landing. But you could see they were trembling. They were really scared. You know, they were thinking about their boyfriends and everything else. And then finally, after all, you know, people are really, really tense. And I remember I was just sitting there, and this was yes, I think this was just after Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj left. And I was thinking, God, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, he had like thousands of devotees all over the world praying for him and chanting for him when he was going to leave this world. You know, nobody even knows I'm going to die. I'm just... There's no website saying, you know, Radhanath Swami's about to die. Pray for him. Everybody's just... I'm all alone up here. There's nobody praying for me. So I started chanting. And I can tell you, best rounds I've ever chanted. I was chanting, and then after chanting for a while, I started offering prayers, and the most beautiful prayers just started coming out of my heart. Praying for all those who I was trying to help, and then praying for my god brothers and god sisters. For Krishna, please be kind to them, and praying for, you know, people who are followers, and praying for all ISKCON devotees, and praying for all humanity, and praying for every living entity. Krishna bless them. And by the time these prayers, I was chanting, tasting such sweetness of the holy name. I felt such love and such happiness. I was thinking, this is what chanting is about. Now I can honestly tell you, I felt so close to Krishna. And I such deep experience of the power and the glory and the mercy of the holy name, like never before. Now, I wouldn't want to go through it again. But it was very intense. And then as we're approaching the Bombay airport, the announcements are coming about every 30 seconds, you know, now what to do. As we were approaching, there was at least 30 to 50 fire trucks on the runway and ambulances with their lights gleaming. And they were just waiting for us, right? And then the plane is coming, and they're just kind of going along with us on the sides of the runway. And that was not very encouraging, actually. And then we just boom, we just hit the ground and bounce up and boom, hit the ground, bounce up. We hit the ground, bounce up a couple times, and all of a sudden he just slams on the brake when we're still going really, really fast, and all the luggage on top is just flying all over the place, and the doors are opening, and babies are screaming and crying, and all the luggage down below, you just hear it going, and it's just like, and you smell this like this smoke from the wheel, from the tires, just like flames are coming out of the tires. And it's like, and then finally it stops. And then we're surrounded by fire trucks all holding their hoses around the airplane. And all these ambulances are ready with stretchers all around us. And we're thinking, it stopped. They said, we're not out of danger yet. Said, we cannot go to the terminal. Said, because, well, what really was, everybody knew, because the heat of the tires and everything, the overheating could create a fire and the plane could explode. So we're not allowed to go anywhere yet. We have to stay here. It was like we were untouchables. It's like not being allowed in the Jagannath temple. We were not allowed to go anywhere near the terminal because we were still in danger of exploding. So then about 20 minutes later, and people are like, there were people praying. There were children crying. Finally, the plane starts moving. And the lady on the broadcasting system through the speakers, she said, "We welcome you to We're sorry for the inconvenience. But these things sometimes happen in modern day aviation technology. But we hope that next time you fly, you choose British Airways." But sometimes we need things like that to actually understand that we need shelter. The forest fires of material existence. So in whatever situation, let us take shelter of Krishna and his holy name. And whatever may come upon us, let us take it as an opportunity to grow. The good times, the bad times, the struggles, and the purpose of association of devotees is to help keep each other focused in all circumstances on the ultimate purpose of our life. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, you asked us to remind you about that story when you've just gone into the park and fellowship of Saint.
But I already told it.
You did.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
His Holiness Radhanath Swami ki
Jai.
Let us perform Namsa. Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada, the Krishna teaches the world through his devotees. Why Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj and Ambarish Maharaj and Haridas Thakur and Jesus Christ and Srila Prabhupada, all the great souls throughout history, they pass through very great difficulties just to teach us how we can grow through those difficulties by always remaining faithful to the path of devotion. Hare Krishna. Would you like to dance?